Every time I see a new game release, I cannot bring myself to play it. Is it because I consider myself old and I have outgrown this age of playing? Or is it because all of the games that are coming out right now are completely different from what they were 25 years ago? Or is it because all the companies that made all those games are just trying to profit from us instead of creating a game that is worth our attention? Well, I think it's all of those things and more. Although I wouldn't call myself a hardcore gamer, there was a time when every free moment was spent in front of computer screen enjoying its blue glow, sitting with a friend playing one game until morning when parents starting to wake up. With great nostalgia, I remember the first time in early 2000s when my friend and I connected two computers in LAN network and managed to play the game. Until then, we had to play only on one computer. That game was Diablo 2. That's my first RPG. That evening we didn't even go to sleep. We fought monsters and collected items until dawn. Even though our first characters weren't well optimized or powerful, like a paladin with a bow or a necromancer with two-handed sword, we did not care about the builds. It was incredible fun to play our favorite game over the LAN at the same time. In 2000, the internet became gradually more affordable and more people gained access to it. I don't know exactly which one of us have discovered this game, but it was like Diablo 2, only played by the thousands. To my young mind, it was even bigger, mind-blowing experience than when we connected two computers together. It was something special to see all the players from all over the world playing the same game you were playing. That game was WoW Online. A Korean company attempted to create an MMO game. It was a completely copy of Diablo 2, from the menus to the isometric perspective. We, along with two other friends, played it non-stop. It was an old MMORPG, where the only way you can progress is by killing other monsters. But we didn't care about that, since we just came from Diablo 2, and this is the only way we knew how to progress. Although the game was fun, it seemed that it was lacking something. But we didn't need to wait for long when another game appeared that many people outside Europe might not know. That game was Lineage 2. With its simplicity captivated our whole group of friends. We were teenagers, aged 13 to 16. The first time I played it, I didn't understand where to go or what to do. Yet the slow-paced game built on Unreal 2.5 shooter engine was fascinating. I still remember my friend blaming the game engine for its lack of power. It was outdated even at that time. Nevertheless, it was simple. Perhaps that's why it became a corner of nostalgia for many Europeans. It was an old MMORPG, just like WoW Online, where all the action took in one huge world. If you had any conflict with another player, you would eventually meet him again. And the only way you could progress was by killing other monsters. Since we didn't have any money, it suited us well as we played on a private server. At that time there were only few private servers, and the one we played on had a lot of bugs because it was do-it-yourself server. And it was pretty normal to see a rogue or another class owning other classes. But as I said, it did not matter to us. The simplicity of the game allowed us to set our own goals. For example, because your progress was indicated by your character level and other players had no way to see your level unless the other player just say it out loud what its level is, you could wear a newbie items and challenge lower level players in a fight. If you're asking what's the purpose of that, you clearly didn't play that game. Well, one of the main reasons Lineage 2 was so interesting to us was its PvP system. Apart some cities, which were only few of them, you were never safe. Every death means loss of experience and the probability of losing one of your items. So dying in this game meant a lot, especially in the higher levels, where few weeks of progress could be lost and erased by a single death. And not to mention the possibility of losing an item. An item in this game meant much more than in other games. Another part of Lineage 2's item system was divided into grades: S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and no grade. No grade items were used until level 20. After reaching level 20, you could buy D grade item from a store, but if you had the money for it. Everything, and I mean everything above D grade, could only be obtained from another player. The whole economy was based on other players playing the game, and only the dwarves were one of 5 races in the game were responsible for crafting. They held the entirety of economy in their hands, so you could judge the health of the server by observing them as they constantly sat in the middle of the city buying or selling items. While leveling your character, you never felt safe, because you often found a distant place where there are no other players around, and suddenly you see another player appear. And often it meant that you have to fight each other for a spot, and only one of you would survive. Despite the MMO King WoW being released in 2004, the same year we were playing Lineage 2, we didn't play it, because we didn't have money to do so, and private servers for WoW didn't existed yet, so all the time we only played Lineage 2. I still have fond memories for the beginner questing areas, the music that still gives me chills, vibrant battles that took between clans and castles, and all the character items just looked incredibly cool on every character you took. We didn't even try any other MMOs or a different style one, and we didn't even know that there were differences between the MMO King WoW. In 2009, my friend and I had jobs, and we finally decided to try the legendary game World of Warcraft, which were already in its 3rd expansion pack. After buying game boxes, which I still have somewhere lying around, we embarked on an adventure. It was hard for me to understand why I could see other player levels and why I couldn't attack them in the beginning early levels. Regardless, progression here was entirely different from Lineage 2. You had to complete quests to level up, which were completely foreign ideas for us. Items you were getting constantly, and you couldn't drop them on the ground for everyone to see. All those concepts were foreign for us, because in Lineage 2 your sword, staff or bow that you bought with your last money meant a lot. Items rarely fell out from the mobs, chance to do so was very low, and if they did, you rushed to pick them up from the ground because you don't know who was watching you and could kill you and take your stuff. Money on Lineage 2 meant really a lot. At best you had 50k when you reached level 20. But lowest grade D weapon cost 4 times that. And that just the weapon. Not to mention all other armor, rings or any other equipment. So you do understand my confusion when on WoW, having reached level 10, I was changing my weapons left and right. But the more I played WoW, the more I saw that the game was completely different, and the outdated system of Lineage 2, even though it was nostalgic for me, was outdated. And I think for me and many other Europeans, Lineage 2 will remain just a source of nostalgia.